What's going on, everyone? So the Los Angeles Lakers held their voluntary press conference. If you saw the press conference, you know what I'm talking about. But what was good in that is you got a lot of insight into the Lakers season, things that are definitely looking forward to and looking ahead to as far as just coaching and the organization as a whole, trades, right? Rob Pelinka threw it out there. Hey, we're willing to do business, right? Willing to trade both firsts. We're even willing to trade one first just for a marginal trade, but it has to be the right trade. It has to be something that makes sense. But JJ also dove into the kind of key three guys: DAngelo Russell, Austin Reaves, Rui Hachimura. Now, we'll see DAngelo Russell and Rui Hachimura if they'll last the entirety of the season, because those two definitely are our biggest contracts as far as tradable guys go. And those have been the two guys that have been most linked to potential trades if that ends up happening. Obviously, Austin Reaves, the Lakers have, is untouchable. But JJ Redick has talked heavily about Austin Reaves and Rui Hachimura and continue to expand on them in this presser. But one of the guys that we hadn't really heard anything about was DAngelo Russell. It was like you have constant reports of Austin Reaves, constant reports of Rui Hachimura. We've even heard Koloko and Wood and Vando and basically everybody on this roster at some point other than DAngelo Russell. And it was like, what is going on with D'Lo? Well, he did finally get asked about DAngelo Russell. He didn't bring D'Lo up. He got asked about D'Lo and gave us some insight into DAngelo Russell and, again, kind of more on Rui and Austin Reaves. So let's dive into it. And let's start with DAngelo Russell, because that's the one guy, obviously he is most likely to get traded at some point because he is an expiring contract. And that's something that, not necessarily being traded, but it was put out as like, hey, it's contract year. We've talked about the contract year. We want to kind of let him have a career year to kind of go get a bag, essentially, is kind of what it was alluded to. And JJ Redick talked about that, hey, DAngelo Russell, he's actually the guy that I've talked to the most this offseason. He's the guy that, I've really had a lot of just dialogue back and forth with, which was interesting to hear since, we haven't heard anything about D'Lo really. But we talked about his attitude and just his mindset going into the season. That's something that they really like about him. Obviously, he's coming off of a career year last season. And, JJ Redick talked about how he wants to kind of expand DAngelo Russell. Now, one of the things he talked about, he used Austin Reaves as the example, was the bubble, right? He's not the bubble, like playoff bubble, where we won the championship. Talking about, he said, picture a bubble. You have all these, because we don't want to pop the bubble. We don't want to take away from that bubble. We just want to expand the bubble, expand your game, kind of give you more of a bag. And that's kind of the direction with DAngelo Russell as well. I've talked about this. I really think you need to let D'Lo be the point guard. Let D'Lo be the playmaker, right? Like, that doesn't mean that he has to make every single play. That doesn't mean he has to be on ball the entire game and, highest usage in the league or anything like that. But the best play in all of basketball last year was the D'Lo Anthony Davis pick and roll, right? Like, his ability to create and find open shooters and his ability to score himself, just a lot of value there. I mean, even last season, he averaged 6 assists and 18 points. If every assist was just 2, which it wasn't the case, he accounted for minimum 30 points a game for the Lakers. I think he's a guy that can be, and I've said this before, I think if you put him in a proper usage role, he could be, a 20-8, maybe 22-8 type guy, especially with his efficiency, right? Like, to think, he averaged 18 last season. To go to 22 points would only be 2 more baskets, right? Or 1 basket and an extra free throw or something, right? A 3-pointer and a free throw, right? So to think that he can't go to 20, 22 points if he's better utilized and put in better actions and just kind of make things easier for him and then allow him to kind of really be a playmaker at times. Like, Darvin Ham last year repeatedly had Austin Reaves as the primary playmaker for the second unit. Why? Why did he always have D'Lo and LeBron sit on the bench? Austin Reaves isn't a primary playmaker. right? He can be, your secondary, third playmaker if you have a LeBron or D'Lo on the court, but him as your primary playmaker, it doesn't work. He doesn't handle ball pressure well. He doesn't see the court well enough, right? Gets tunnel vision at times. Then he also tries to try to find this balance, but it's not natural. So he doesn't find the balance well, and then it just gets clunky, and then you get the result that you got last season, which was, Lakers' second unit can't score at all. Why? Because there is nobody to make plays. There is nobody that can go and just go get a bucket that you can, run different actions for. Well, this season you have Dalton Connect. You have Max Christie, right? You got Jackson Hayes, Christian Coloco, and Christian Wood gets back. Christian Wood, Jared Vanderbilt, right? If you can have a playmaker like DAngelo Russell run the second unit at times, right? Obviously, you have Gabe Vincent who can do it. I'm not saying you always have to run D'Lo with the second unit. Obviously, he's starting, but if you can kind of stagger D'Lo and LeBron rather than only playing D'Lo and LeBron together, right? If you kind of stagger D'Lo and LeBron, well, now you could have LeBron at times as the primary playmaker in the second unit. You could have DAngelo Russell as the primary playmaker in the second unit, right? You could have Austin Reaves as that secondary extension alongside D'Lo, alongside LeBron, right? If you stagger these guys properly, then you shouldn't have an issue with offensive production, right? You should be able to have guys. Now, obviously, there's bad nights and stuff like that. That happens, but the regularity should be that they're good, right? But Austin Reaves. So he talked about, like I mentioned earlier, the sort of bubble, right? And that he doesn't want to take away from the bubble. He just wants to, add to Austin Reaves back, that he's played a specific way his whole career, right? He's a guy that, and I've talked about it, it's why I think that there's a real argument for him to be the sixth man, because in the sixth man role, he can be aggressive, right? He doesn't have to try to find that balance. Just go be a bucket. Go average 20, dude. Like, and if he can be, if he can shoot better, that'll open up a lot. He struggled shooting the basketball last year. If he can kind of get back to being that consistent shooter, it'll open up so much more for him. But, JJ Redick talked about how he wants to, utilize Austin Reaves in various actions to really kind of just make things easy, right? That, Austin Reaves has the ability to score at all three levels. He can get to the basket and finish through contact, right? I mean, we've seen him countlessly get and ones. His ability to shoot the basketball when, unlike last season, but also his ability to get into the mid-range, get into the teeth of the defense and elevate and rise, shoot over the top, shoot through contact, right? Kind of put a guy on his hip. All these things can go a really long way for Austin Reaves. And to have JJ Redick kind of look at him and be able to hopefully expand his game more and kind of put him in better position to be more impactful, to be more effective, I think can really go a long way for his game and just the overall betterment of the team, right? Because the better that these guys are, the better that the Lakers are. The Lakers are, yes, LeBron James and Anthony Davis, but D'Lo, Rui, and Reaves are your three key guys, right? Like, LeBron, Anthony Davis, they're going to be LeBron James and Anthony Davis. They're going to be 2 top 10 players in the league. It's what they're going to do. It's what they're going to be, right? But what do our other guys do? In many ways, we go as far as our other guys take us, right? If D'Lo, Reaves, and Rui show up and they're great this season, the Lakers are going to be very good this season. If they don't show up and they're, inconsistent and they're all over the place, then guess what? The Lakers are probably not going to be too great. So there's a lot of pressure on these guys, but I do think that JJ Redick's going to be able to make things easier for them to kind of alleviate some of that pressure. But Rui Hachimura, you talked about Rui. Once again, reiterated that he wants him, crashing the glass and being a guy that, helps improve the rebounding of this team. He also talked about how he wants to kind of put him in better positions defensively. Which is good, right? We need Rui to be a better defensive player for the Lakers this year. But also, one of the key things that JJ Redick really hit on was that, you talk about the advanced analytics, right? If you look at Rui, he was best at attacking the closeout defender, right? He was best, getting into the mid-range, right? Having a mismatch down on the post. All the things I was screaming all year last year for Darvin Ham to recognize. Darvin Ham to maximize. JJ Redick talked about maximizing those things, which finally there's somebody that recognizes the obvious. It wasn't rocket science. I'm not some I'm not some dude. Like, I'm just the guy, and I could recognize it. If just some random dude that makes YouTube videos can recognize the clear mismatch and advantages that Rui Hachimura has, and how you're constantly putting him out of position and making him settle, which, you know, to an extent is Rui's fault. Rui has to do a better job of not just settling, but to see our head coach actually go, hey, Rui Hachimura is best in the mid-range. Rui Hachimura is actually best around the rim in mismatches. Wow, who would have thunk it with Rui Hachimura being in like the 1 percentile as far as mid-range goes? It's not rocket science, but it's nice that we have a head coach that actually recognizes and understands what the deal is here. But anyway, it was really good to kind of hear the insight, and kind of a lot to dive into and get into as we move further into training camp, preseason, all that stuff. Obviously, there's more that definitely going to touch on through the presser. We kind of want to just focus on specific topic points. So stay tuned for more videos. And as always, this is a discussion. Pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Are you excited for Rui, Reaves, and D'Lo this upcoming season? Do you have concerns? Are you confident? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you're going to like this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Lets me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.